All right, good morning, Powur Hitters. Welcome to another weekly Tuesday team training. Today's November 30th. Hope you all had an amazing Thanksgiving with friends, family, and good food. I need to hit the gym today. I'm a few pounds heavier, I think, but that's okay. So hope you all had a happy holiday, happy Thanksgiving. We have a great training today. The team here with Powur Solar. But first, we always start with some success stories. I know there's a ton of successes out there. So if you recently got a lead, referral, ambassador, you had a consultant join, you became a mentor, you joined Powur because you found somebody online, let's go ahead and have 2 or 3 people. Feel free to jump off mute and share a success story, please.
I have a success story.
Yes, Ramsey.
So today is my first installation. I'm installing with my good friend who is a musician, and they're doing it right now. So we just signed him up for the gym. We're gonna get a nice little pump after this Zoom session, then go back to the install.
Yeah, where's your install at, Ramsey?
Orlando, Florida.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida installation day. We want to see pictures, okay? Make sure to post them in the chat or the Powur Hitters group.
Absolutely, pictures and videos. Got to make a whole sketch.
Congrats. We
Thank you,
got
brother.
Boston and Marisa.
So I've got one for you, JB. So about 30 days ago, I met a guy that door knocked us for solar. And of course, he actually spoke with my husband. Of course, my husband shared with him about Powur. Had he heard about Powur? Long story short, it's 30 days later, and we have signed 2 contracts. We're working on 2 or 3 more where we have the bill. We just have to set the appointment. And yeah, he's already, he's got one of his buddies that's going to be a consultant with him. And yeah, he's just on fire. His name is Jesse, and I think he's on this call. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm watching. I just don't look all too pretty right now.
He's not showing us his face.
Welcome, Jesse. Excited to have you here. I'm glad you discovered some great people there and found a better way to do what you were doing.
It's more than just better. I'm sure you guys are aware, but going to other companies and seeing how they do business compared to how Powur does business, it's more than just a better company. It's what I expect being a professional in an industry. This is what you should be when doing a job. And that's why I like Powur. Powur isn't just a platform to do whatever. It demands professionalism and a business to a degree that I would expect. My family being in the medical industry, I expect professionalism, and Powur provides that.
Boom, mic drop. We need to have him speak more often, Marisa.
I talk too much. Don't get me started, Jonathan. I talk too much.
That is great to hear. And yes, this is construction and permits and cities and utilities and electrical, and holy crap, there will be issues, but we can stay positive, have professionalism and communication. So very great to have you there, and great job, Marisa, being a leader and mentor, having a team. Beautiful.
I got a win to share, JB.
Yes, sir.
I'm 1,000% on door knocking. So I've only knocked 1 door, and I did get the contract signed. Took me 3 presentations, but was signed in November, and we already have the permit approved. So hoping to get it installed before the end of the year so they can get their investment tax credit. So it would be less than 60 days from contract to install, which is, 5 times better than the first project that I had. So,
yeah,
really
that's good
about
timing. San Diego?
Yeah, Carlsbad.
Very cool. Door knocking, Carlsbad, sale to install under 60 days. How much did you make on that? Oh, we lost you.
I put mute on. Between 6 and 7.
$6,000 and $7,000, and you're cutting the homeowner's bill in half, maybe?
Well, we're actually doubling their end production because they're planning on buying a couple of electric vehicles.
Oh, good. And it's probably still the same price as SDG&E that they're already paying.
Yeah, probably a little less, saving them a little money. Cash deal. So
nice job, Bill. Sounds like you have an ambassador with referrals and more door knocking around that install coming soon.
Definitely.
Jonathan, I have a success.
Yes,
that I'd like
Angela.
to share. So mine is that I've been 3 weeks in and I have 3 leads on the table. One project started, another one will most likely start today or tomorrow. And I'm just excited. It's just moving. I've also just got a couple more bills coming in. So I'm pretty excited in 3 weeks to have all of that done.
That's great, Angela. Yeah, and you went to the Anaheim training where we met for the first time. Angela is actually a friend with Robin Mansell, who signed up for solar a few months ago. She got a brand new roof, brand new solar. Of course, Robin said, hey, if you want more than just an ambassador, $1,000, Angela, we got another way you can make some more money. And sounds like you're like, heck yeah, let's do it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I got some ambassadors signed up too.
Wow, on fire, 3 weeks in. Yeah, excited to see what you're gonna do next year, Angela. Congratulations to you. Do we have one more share there, Boston?
Sorry. Hey, how you doing?
Yes,
I
Boston.
don't know if you can see me, that I'm currently driving, but I have a success story. I started Powur about January. I got my license. I've been very excited since. I recently just got a new roof and solar installed on my home. I have 2 contracts currently signed. Solar waiting to be installed, possibly any day now within the next week or 2. One of my commissions is a $22,000 commission that's split. This is my 3rd deal. So moving forward, I'll be getting the full deal, and I'm pretty excited about moving forward.
Wow, we have a lot of success stories today. Boston, drinks are on you, my friend. $22,000. Holy crap. Wow. Congrats to you, Boston. A lot of people hitting it, making it happen out there. Jordan, what's going on? Last one here, Jordan.
Yeah,
we have too many success stories.
So I did my first mentor presentation the other day, and it was for a family member of a mentee in Las Vegas, of all places. So that was that was different, seeing the bill for Las Vegas first time. But yeah, it went pretty well, following up through Wednesday. But it looks like it's going to be closing about 10 kilowatt system.
Beautiful. NV Energy over there, probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like 12 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's a good one. Nice work. Becoming a mentor really changes the game, changes the business here. Kiara, welcome. What's up?
Hey, you just saw me come off mute. So in my girlfriend's parents' neighborhood, their power was out on Thanksgiving for about 6 hours. So people were cooking their turkeys in their oven and then had to like throw it on the barbecue. So I was like, oh, well, I've never knocked a door in my life, but this would be a great opportunity to offer a battery. So I've knocked maybe like 40 doors, spoke with only 10 people, and I got 3 appointments out of it. And they have high bills, and it's actually like a eco-friendly neighborhood. So the HOA encourages solar, and there is a lot of solar in the neighborhood. So I have those this week, and that was my first door knocking experience. So that was kind of cool. And I know the neighbors because I'm out there all the time. So I guess that's a success story.
That's awesome, Kiara. So if there's a blackout, go to that community, knock the doors, and rub it in their faces and sell them solar and batteries.
Yeah, and a pro tip too. So when I was out there, everyone was putting up their Christmas lights. So they were already out on their front lawn. I didn't really have to knock on their door. And so that was cool. So a good tip would be find when people are taking their lights down when they're outside. So maybe like right before the new year. Catch people when they're already in their front yard. So you don't have to go knock on their door and kind of disrupt whatever they're doing. Just casually walk by, talk to them, and see, you could start a conversation on, hey, did your electric bill go up with these lights? Something of that nature. And that might be a good approach for, I guess, door knocking, if you would.
That's great. Yeah, great pro tips there. Christmas lights, electricity usage, especially those blow up snowmen all day, and blackouts right now with the crazy dry temperatures and we're having. So
yep, exactly.
Good stuff. Can't wait to hear from one of Kiara's leaders and mentors here in just a minute for today's training. Okay, Jason, did you want to share real quick before we keep it going? Jason Reedy.
Yes, sir. How are you? Hey guys, I have just last week closed my 5th deal. I take my mentor training test tomorrow. And that puts my average at 4 sold deals, 4 installations complete. 5th one permit was already approved this week. So that was closed last week. Permit's already approved this week. Pretty cool. And then the last thing is my average commission is now currently sitting at $14,328.17
Per deal?
per deal average.
Holy crap. And you're still helping people save money, great investments, great return on investment, beating competitors, I'm sure.
I'm slapping competitors like they
Jason,
weren't even on the table.
where do you live, Jason?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. We have a new Texas mentor coming soon, everyone. You'll have to teach us more about Texas, Jason. Congratulations to you, my friend. That's awesome. All right, man, talk about success stories. I'm pretty jazzed. There's a ton of success stories today. That's pretty motivational. So hats off to everyone out there closing the year off strong. We have a few updates here. We'll get straight to today's electrical training. And there's a leaderboard. Was in the newsletter yesterday. Make sure to read your newsletter. We have first place. This is one of JC Rangel's leaders here, Stephen Gregg, crushing it, jumped into first place. He wasn't even in the contest the whole time. And then we have Larry McKinney here on the call in second place, very close. So we have about 15 more days to go, I believe, to see who's going to take first place here. We got Glenn, Jeff Cash. I come in at 6th here. Edgardo representing the Texas team. So this contest is giving away almost $20,000. Marisa, what? 18th place. There you go. Congratulations. And JC, not even trying, breaking a sweat at 13th place, helping his team out. So congrats to all you guys on the contest leaderboard. 10 prizes here. 2 points for recruiting a new consultant, 2 more points if they close a deal during the contest. Like always, we have a new COO, Chief Operating Officer, Ethan Miller. He was the VP of SunPower. I can't say this enough. It just shows you the trajectory that Powur's on and the talent that's coming. Next year is going to be even more exciting than this year. It just keeps getting better and better. REC panels, you all know, 400 watts, black on black, 92% efficiency in 25 years, 2 extra support bars in the back, guys. This is the best panel. Most companies cannot touch the price that we have. We should all be, super thankful. And I really lead with this panel, and I really show the spec sheet every time when I do a presentation. It's either this or the Hanwha 400s. In my opinion. Okay, a few more things. Today, there is a Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific consultant training. As always, powercalendar.com. Today, we're doing electrical training. And then this Thursday, if you're new, please take a consultant onboarding, powercalendar.com, 12 p.m. Pacific or 5 p.m. Pacific. Next week on Tuesday, Q-Cells, Hanwha Q-Cells. We will have them on training us why Q-Cell is the #1 selling panel in the industry. And then next Wednesday, December 8th, is a masterclass immersive. Every month we have some training as well as the CEO call. Go to power.live to learn more about that. And then Larry McKinney, we're going to share this flyer here, but Wednesday in Las Vegas at 6 p.m., Larry McKinney is going to be hosting a Powur business opportunity. So we're going to be able to invite people to attend there. If you want to build your business, invite consultants, you can invite them to these live events around the country and build your business there. So thank you, Larry, for doing that. And then in 2 Tuesdays from now, guys, we're going to do a business plan for the next year. Jim Bunch is gracious enough to join us. There's going to be a worksheet. We're going to set our goals on our income goals, and man, if I can get 14,000 per deal like Jason, I'll be a happy camper. So a lot of exciting things coming up. We're looking at a possible holiday party in Orange County in the next 3 weeks. So stay tuned for that. And then please mark your calendars again, January 14th and 15th, virtual national convention. Go to powurconvention.com to learn more. It's called Powur Evolution. 2 days, 9 to 5, insane speakers, sponsors, technology like updates and things coming that you do not want to miss. So take 2 days out there to set yourself up January 14th and 15th. All right, last thing here before we do the training. I keep adding all this stuff. Today is Giving Tuesday, in case you didn't know. So if you have a charity, nonprofit, something you want to get behind, personally, I'm going to be helping with Give Powur. They partner with Goodleap. And today they will be matching up to $25,000. So I like to recommend y'all give $40 per installation. You can go to donate.givepowur.org/Powur Hitters. If you'd like to donate today, and Goodleap and Give Powur will be matching it. So up to $50,000. And they provide fresh water to people around the world, and they build solar water farms. So pretty awesome thing, but today is Giving Tuesday. So keep an eye out, whoever you want to support. And I let all my homeowners know that we give donations for every installation that we do here at Powur. Okay, so today's training, we have a great mentor that I was actually able to hang out with 2 weeks ago. He is in Northern California. He used to do some door knocking before in his past career, past life. He found Powur, he found Kiara. He's a great leader now. He's closing lots of deals virtually, not having to door knock as much, always positive, and kind of volunteered to help teach us a little bit about electricity. So with that, Eoin Carey, let me invite you up and go ahead and share your screen. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jonathan. How's everyone doing? Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. What I wanted to do today is that I feel a lot of us are installing solar. We're making great money. But what I found was that there's not a lot of training with any kind of solar company that goes into what the hell is electricity. You know, we're doing something that provides electricity for people's homes and for the grid overall. So as we know, we can't see electricity. It's a very difficult concept, at least for me. I'm a thinker and I like to feel things, but you can't feel electricity. Otherwise, you're probably going to be in trouble. So let me start the presentation here for you. Oh, sorry, one second. Perfect. So here's a little bio about myself. I went to San Francisco State, and while going to school full time, I was waiting tables, which was actually a really fun job. It's actually where I met my wife. There was some sales competitions, and you know, there's always a prize, but I actually just love the idea of winning the competitions, which I'm sure a lot of you, no matter what career you're in before this, you just love the concept of sales and the competitive nature of it. My focus was marketing and business, but I took a sales class and then just realized that this is way better than marketing. No offense to anyone who does marketing full time, but like I like to say is that you don't choose sales as a career, it chooses you. After graduating, I worked as a sales manager for a small wine importer. It was a fantastic job. I got to travel to South America and Spain on the company's dime a couple times. It was really cool to meet small farmers, but definitely saw the effects that we are having on this planet, whether that is through carbon emissions or even just the things we spray and chemicals to the planet. So my goal after switching was to find a job where A, I can make money, but B, more importantly, change things. I also love the idea that right now, what we do is we take money out of the pocket of lazy corporations, in my opinion, that have not done their homework or have done their homework to make sure that these changes do not happen. And you guys have to realize we are in a beautiful time right now. I mean, the idea of electric vehicle is not new. It's just finally coming to, to a reality. So that's a beautiful thing to think about. And we're starting to win. And these utilities really don't like it. I mean, think about it. Ford is making electric vehicle trucks now. If I told you that 15 years ago, you would laugh in my face. So just to, keep on fighting through, and that's why we're doing what we do. Let's see. Now, before we jump in here, I want to keep it in your mind that you need to keep things simple when you're with your client. Do not just start talking about electricity and unnecessary shenanigans, because then you'll probably just shoot yourself in the foot. And I like to say, you'll meet these clients that are going to go down rabbit holes, and now you'll have some knowledge to go down the rabbit hole with them. Do not open the rabbit hole yourself. If that makes sense, if you're a talker like me, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's talk about electricity here. Here's a couple photos I found that were interesting. First off, as we know, it's AC/DC, but we know that's a lie because it should be DC/AC. But direct current to AC, classic band named after that. We have a lightning bolt, which is really cool. If you think of one theory I've heard is that if you think about tree roots, they're actually similar structured to a lightning bolt, how they go in all the multiple directions. So it's a pretty interesting fact there. And then this is probably just my 2-year-old when he's 5 playing with electricity. This is actually a cover for a book, pretty much a dummy for electricity, which I hope no one's child plays like that. And I'll start over here. This is going to be the overview of what we're going to go over today. So we're going to go over the basics, the definitions, and understanding of concepts, a brief history, how the grid works, and then we will open it up with some questions, which Jonathan, I did talk to Brian. He might be, if he's not on already, he said he would be checking in and maybe closer to the end of the presentation for Q&As.
Sounds good.
So what is electricity? So we actually create energy. There's natural energies. This energy for us, it has to be from one place to another. So think about electricity as like the vehicle. Electricity is actually a transporter of energy from one place to another. If we think about solar, for example, we have a reaction between sunlight, which is photons, and neurons. So actually the solar itself has the element of neurons, and then we have the photons, or sorry, not element, photons, which creates this energy, and that energy is converted into DC, our direct current energy, and we have to invert it to alternating energy. Electricity is a transporter that gets this energy from the roof down to the meter, and then it continues as alternating current. If you have a video, which I think would be, we can do videos, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, should be fine. When you hit share screen, there's a button that says share audio too. It makes it a little bit better, but go ahead and give it a try.
In what amps, volts, ohms, and watts are. In this video, we're just going to start with amps. So you probably know that everything around you is made up of tiny particles called atoms. The simplified model of an atom has a positively charged center called the nucleus, and you have negatively charged electrons orbiting around it. The terms positively charged and negatively charged are arbitrary, and the important thing to know is that things with opposite charges attract each other, and things with the same charge repel each other. So the positive nucleus of the atom will attract negative electrons, but if electrons get too close to each other, they'll push each other away. In most solid materials, the atoms and their electrons just sit there and don't really move around. But in metals like copper, the electrons have the ability to move around. The positive nuclei stay in the same place, preserving the structure of the metal, but the electrons can drift around from atom to atom. But since the negatively charged electrons repel each other, when you move one electron from atom to atom, you'll also move other electrons from atom to atom. For example, let's say you have a wire that's only 1 atom thick. And just so you know, I'm massively oversimplifying things here by showing you only 1 electron per atom. Then let's say that you force the first electron in line to jump to the second atom in line. The electrons will all push each other around at the same time, kind of like a conga line. Even though each electron is only jumping a tiny, tiny distance, this overall flow happens close to the speed of light. And that's basically what the flow of electricity is. When electrons are flowing through something, you can say that electric current is flowing. Now, how do we measure electric current? Well, you've probably heard of the term amp, which is short for ampere. An ampere refers to the amount of electrons that are flowing per second through something that conducts electricity. 1 ampere is equivalent to 6.24 times 10 to the power of 18 electrons flowing per second. You don't really need to memorize that number, but you should understand that electrical current refers to the amount of electron flow, and that 1 amp means that a lot of electrons are flowing. And obviously 2 amps means that twice the electrons are flowing. And if you want, you can use the analogy of the amount of water flowing through a pipe. Okay, just so you have a frame of reference, here are a few examples of different currents you might encounter in your day-to-day life. All right, now's the perfect time to talk about electric circuits. An electric circuit is a closed loop where current can flow around. In this example of a flashlight, electrons can flow from the battery through the copper wire, through the light, and through another piece of wire to the other side of the battery. Now remember, when current is flowing here, all the electrons are moving at the same time. Over here, the negative terminal of the battery is pushing the negative electrons away, and those electrons are pushing other electrons away. And this keeps happening throughout the circuit, allowing energy to be transferred from the battery to the light. But if you were to cut one of the wires here, you would no longer have a complete circuit. The electrons can't just jump through the air from one wire to another. So if electrons can't push each other around in a complete loop, no current can flow. When there's no current flowing, there can't be any transfer of energy, so the light stays off. And this is how electric switches work. The switch has 2 pieces of metal inside it, and when the pieces of metal touch, you get a complete circuit and the light turns on. When the pieces of metal are pulled apart, it becomes an open circuit and the light turns off. And this is also how fuses work. Right now I have 5 amps flowing through this fuse, which is rated for 15 amps. But when I suddenly draw 30 amps, the fuse melts, opens the circuit, and prevents any current from flowing until the fuse is replaced. Very handy for when you don't want to die in a terrible fire. Now there's one more tricky thing about electric current that most people don't know. There are actually 2 naming systems for electric current. One is called conventional current, and the other is called electron flow. You may have heard that current flows from positive to negative. So you might imagine that with this circuit, current is flowing from the positive side of the battery towards the negative side of the battery. This system of current flowing from positive to negative is what all electrical engineers use, and it's called conventional current. However, conventional current is wrong. Back in the early days when scientists were still figuring out the basics of electricity, they didn't know whether it was the protons or the electrons that were flowing. They made a guess and thought that current flowed from positive to negative, but the reality is that the actual flow of electrons goes from negative to positive. Unfortunately, every single formula that we use in electronics is based around the mistake of assuming that current flows from positive to negative. The good news is that the formulas are consistent, and whenever we do any math in electrical engineering, we use this system of conventional current and it works. So you can just pretend that electrons are moving from positive to negative, even though that's backwards to reality. All right, so amps are easy to understand. It's just the flow of electrons. In my next video, I'm going to explain what voltage is.
So the next kind of subject we're going to talk about here is, and we hear these terms a lot, is volts and amps. So understanding what those are, as I was talking to Jonathan earlier, these are things that are hard to comprehend because you can't see them. So I really like the graphic images to really explain what's going on here. This image here, you have a volt, which is essentially pushing the amps. And then we have up here, OHM, or what we call resistance. As they're discussing, you can go really fast, like the speed of light. So you want to slow down the amount of power that's going through. And then this is a cool analogy they're talking about, or a metaphor. We're talking about kind of water flow. So amps, this is the measurement of electrical flow, and then we have volts. So think of amps as water flowing in the hose. Volts is the pressure. So as you imagine, you're turning on your hose, you have the same amount of, the hose is the same size, but if you turn the faucet on higher, think of that as being your volts. That's the more pressure that is going to push these amps going through the hose. Higher voltage means more electrons being pushed through. And then, so then just imagine it being more powerful, and then it's pushing the amps along the way. And then we have electrical resistance. So this is ways, it's going to be more technical of how we would do resistance. But electrical resistance is thinking about ways to slow down the water. So if we think about putting your finger over the top of the hose to stop that flow of water, or even putting a knot in the hose. And here's kind of a graphic for you. Think of it like a water hose. You have the pressure from the volts, and you have the current, which is the size of the hose. Right, so if you think about, for us, we have 200 amp main service panels. That's how many amps essentially could be handled in that house. And the volts, when we plug in our units in the house, that is essentially how many volts we need. So the amps, the size of the wire remains the same, but then we have the amount of volts that push those amps along. Here's a quick history lesson. I didn't want to get too crazy since I'm sure not everybody's a huge fan of history. So in early human history, the Greeks discovered that when you rub silk on amber, it would become electrically charged. And then in 1600, a scientist named William Gilbert came up with the name electricity from the Greek word electron, which means amber. So actually the word electricity derives from the Greek word of amber, which I thought was pretty interesting. So amber is responsible for electricity, and dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. There's our beautiful image there, which if you have not seen the movie, you definitely should. I know we might have some youngsters in here, that original, but I digress. A big thing that happened in history too that really relates to our industry is Edison versus Tesla. Now, we all know the name Thomas Edison. He's gotten all the medals and all the jazz. So he's an inventor of the light bulb. He definitely is a critical figure in our history. He was an innovator, but in my opinion, he was a better businessman. We have Nikola Tesla. He's a true innovator who had big ideas. He was thinking about robots and x-rays in the 1800s. Now, what happened between these two, it's kind of a sad story, but Nikola Tesla worked for Thomas Edison, but Thomas Edison at that time offered him something like $40,000, which would be equivalent to $1.2 million to help him build some generators. Tesla succeeded, and when he asked for his money, Thomas Edison said, "You stupid immigrant, I'm not actually going to pay you." So he got shafted. Which was devastating for Tesla since Thomas Edison was his hero. And then there was Tesla's idea and Edison's idea. So Edison wanted to use all direct current for homes, which kind of makes sense. But while Tesla was campaigning for the universal use of alternating current. Now there's a reason for this, which I believe I have a description in the next slide for that. DC is kind of the quick answer. It can only travel 2 miles before we need more energy, while alternating current can travel thousands of miles, which, as you can obviously tell, that's much better and actually more efficient. If you think about sustainability too, it's better because we don't have to build more facilities. We actually just can have that energy travel a lot farther without having to build extra equipment. So what Thomas did, since he did have a huge reputation in the industry, he uses power to pretty much blackball Tesla, made him look like a crazy person that could not be trusted. And unfortunately, just like an artist, Tesla's theories and ideas became mainstream after he died. So he actually died a broke man, but he definitely was a critical character, especially with the direction we're going right now. And not just the name of Elon Musk's company, but that's why Tesla is such a renowned figure. And then, you name SoCal Edison after this guy, which kind of metaphorically speaking lets us know they're not into change. They just want their money. Good for them. This is kind of the image I was talking about. If we talk about, both of these are similar, right? We have DC and AC. And now that we know what an amp is, it only requires 10 amps to go 1,000 feet. With DC, it takes 100 amps. And as you can tell, as we bring things up to a major scale, that's a huge figure. So in reality, another image I saw too is that actually this kind of, there's our station, probably coal, which is mostly done through turbines. You burn the coal, it turns a turbine that creates energy, and that energy is converted to direct current energy. This image would actually probably, you'd have to have one of these, a factory. Here's our little station, another factory, another station. That's why it's definitely not sustainable. This image is, I mean, just think about how crazy this is that we knew about electricity from the Greeks a long time ago, but we didn't know how to utilize it. Now, if you look at this image, these are nighttime images. I mean, Japan, it's crazy. The whole thing's lit up. Just think about the power that we have in these grids. I think another thing that's really sad is we're talking about donations for Africa. This is a whole continent and it's like barely lit up. Another sad thing is actually North Korea has no grid. So just be grateful that we have these features. And as we upgrade these things, I think it is important to realize we do need to get back to the rest of the humanity. So I'm excited to see what we can do in the future. Now let's talk about essentially leading into the grid. So transformers, we know, we see them all over especially if you have overhead wires. So think about all this electricity traveling like a high rapid river. It's really, you can't use that electricity for your house. You would just blow fuses, you would blow all the breakers. So think about it like almost like a levee. I was trying to come up with a metaphor. So imagine if this river was flowing much faster, and then we could take some of this water and have it in a more controllable space. That's essentially what a transformer does. That way, when the electricity can travel at its high speed in the grid, and then when we want it for homes, we slow it down so it's not as full of as many volts or amps for your home. Let's see. There's another issue is that if we think about issues with the grid, just like Thomas Edison and a lot of businesses in this country, we take shortcuts. We look at what benefits us right now in the short term. And in reality, if we took our time and spent money on the infrastructure, we can make things much better. For example, here in Northern California, a huge issue is overhead electric, which obviously is going to be easier, but if we put everything underground, it would be much safer. A big thing that a lot of people don't mention, and we can blame utilities all we want, but when trees go through a drought, their root systems deplete. So these trees are weak, and when the winds come, they fall over, they crash into transformers and wires, shutting down power and possibly starting fires. That's an issue that a lot of people do not bring up. I did want to show you one more video. That's all right. Oops.
Not the machines that transform from cars to combat robots you see in the movies, but the kind you see at the top of utility poles or on the ground in your neighborhood.
Transformers are used to step electric voltage up or down before it makes its way to its final destination. Why does this need to happen? Original power distribution voltage can range from 7,200 to 24,900 volts, depending on your electric utility provider's practice, the distance to the furthest member, and the amount of load served. That's much too high a voltage for safe home or business use. Transmission lines connect the power to substations brimming with transformers and control equipment. This is the first place where they transform the voltage to safer, more manageable levels for the distribution system. The voltage then travels through distribution lines, takes one or two more steps down, and arrives at your home. Power feeds into your home's electrical outlets and lights at 120 volts, while water heaters, ranges, and HVAC systems receive 240 volts, both considerably lower than the original voltage. Here's a quick look at how transformers actually work for a typical American home. Transformers start with an iron core. On two sides of this iron core, wire is coiled. On the high voltage side, the coil is wrapped around the core many times. This side receives or produces high voltage. On the other side, the coil is wrapped around fewer times, receiving or producing lower voltage. As the electricity flows through the high voltage coil, it creates a magnetic field that induces a lower voltage in the other coil. That's how the magic of transformation takes place. Transformers are everywhere in our daily lives, not just on your utility provider's lines. Take your cell phone charger, for example. Many of these small cousins of utility transformers perform a similar function. Charging your cell phone with 120 volts will fry it instantly, so the charger converts the voltage to a more tolerable 5 volts or so. The use of electricity touches nearly every aspect of our modern lives, and we have transformers to thank for bringing it safely into our homes.
So one of the biggest issues right now, if we go back to this photo, actually, this is a nighttime shot, right? So during all of this electricity you see right now, I'd say 90% of that is not coming from solar energy. The issue is that we actually produce this energy during the day and it can be used. But then, as we probably know or don't know, that's where batteries come into play. Because right now, a lot of energy being produced at night is actually from turbines, as I mentioned earlier, or what we call dirty energy. The idea of everybody getting batteries, as I'm sure some of us have tried, not everybody is going to be interested in the battery. The technology, as far as what I would compare it to, is like when cell phones came out, you know, compared to a phone you have in your hand, like a connected phone. We're in that transition. The battery technology is getting better, but we do need to find a solution, because when all this solar energy being produced, we are feeding a ton to the grid. That is energy that needs to be used during the day, but really what we need is energy to be used at night. So we need to find a way to store this energy for nighttime use. As it stands, like I said, a majority of energy produced at night is not green. Elon Musk, this is pretty cool, is working on these super battery stations. This would be a game changer. So as you can see, we have, imagine during the day, you have sun energy or alternating current coming back from solar energy, and then it gets stored in these batteries. And then at nighttime, when we need energy, we use these batteries to backfeed the grid. So it's actually a really exciting time if you think about it. And the batteries are definitely going to be the game changer, because if you think about all this energy going, it's going so fast, we don't have a lot of technology yet on how to store this energy. So it's pretty cool. I did want to share this link, and Jonathan, this is the one you sent to me. This is actually, because I'm sure some people on here probably have questions about main panels and all that jazz. This is actually Paul Leon's video about MPUs and all that jazz, which is an interesting subject as well. but this video that is he created a training is actually, it's fantastic. It's a game changer if any of you guys want to learn about main panels and D-rates and all that jazz. And then I'll open it up with questions here for you.
Awesome, Eoin. Appreciate all the information and knowledge. I never knew about transformers until today. So that's pretty cool stuff. And, you know, sometimes this will get brought up with homeowners to be able to speak to. And I think Brian may have jumped on too. Brian, Maya, are you out there? See if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey,
yeah,
Brian,
okay,
thanks
yeah.
for jumping on for a few minutes. Do you mind telling people, like, just, you know, what you do with the electrician and solar and kind of your background, maybe real quick?
Yes, no problem. So we install everything from backup batteries from all the solar systems, ground mounts, commercial, residential, backup generators as well. From commercial generators to residential generators, any size batteries, off-grid batteries. It's pretty much it. I mean, everything in between, you know, just regular residential electrical. I mean, if you guys have any questions.
How long have you been doing electrical work, solar work in the industry?
12 years now. So I began when the panels were like 3 inches thick. You know, now technology has come a long ways where, I mean, they're almost, they're half an inch thick. You know, you're producing 400 watts per panel now instead of, you know, back then it was like 75 watts a panel. So I've seen it grow and technology has gotten a lot better.
Right. Any like common mistakes or challenges or sales reps not doing certain things that you've seen out there when you're doing solar and electrical work, or any NPU hassles, common tips?
Common, I mean, if you're gonna get battery backup, you know what your customer wants, as in backup loads. You know, there's two different kinds of backups. There's a whole house backup and a partial backup. So the partial backup is usually around 50 amps, depending on the system, and it'll do anywhere 4 to 6 circuits. When you have a whole house, you install an ATS, so an automatic transfer switch, which it'll back up your whole house. But you got to also recommend to your customers that you can't, there's no reason. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, so we do from the Tesla chargers, the Porsche chargers, your juice boxes. I'm actually on a job right now. And also the backup generators as well. So
Hey,
let's see.
sorry, I had some internet problems, but Brian, if some of these people want to talk to you or do some extra jobs in Southern California, is that something you're open to, or are you too busy?
No, yes, of course I can always make time.
Okay, so yeah,
that's no problem.
cool. So guys, just to preface this a little bit, I met Brian like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago at a solar installation. You can go to your installs, make friends with a great guy like Brian. He's been in electrical work and installation work for over 12 years. And sometimes if a customer needs an EV charger or a generator plug, doing a diagnostic on an existing old system for $300, or really anything, replacing a 10-year-old inverter, you know, Brian is an amazing contact to do some of those things in Southern California. I'll go ahead and share his contact info. Let me know if you could see this. But yeah, you know, Brian, I appreciate you always helping me and my brother and now some of the teammates. And like I said, he can do a few different things. This is outside of Powur. This is just to help customers or existing solar customers, just to provide a differentiator for you guys out there. So yeah, I guess, do we have any questions for Brian, a 12-year electrician, solar master installer here while we have him? Reggie?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Brian, I'm a roofing contractor and I run into situations where I need someone to come down and pull solar panels off for me. I have a couple guys that I work with now. Do you handle that?
Yes, I do removals and reinstalls, as well as if they want to add panels as well.
Okay, awesome. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
No problem.
I guess every job's different, Brian, but there's probably like a rough price per panel for like a removal and reinstall.
Yes, it all depends. I mean, you can say it's going to cost, you know, like 50 cents a watt, but then you always got to counter in that, you know, you want to use new lags, new feet, sometimes new rail. The rail might be outdated and the mids and ends might strip out as you remove them because they're so old, and that stuff's you can't get that stuff anymore. So sometimes you have to factor in that cost. So
Sometimes,
each house is different.
Sometimes we say like $250 to $300 a panel, maybe. Is that kind of in the ballpark these days?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. It all depends on the house and the system, but yeah, for the most part.
Great. Any other questions for Brian, guys?
Hey,
And I'm
Brian.
just-
Hey, Brian. So you
Yes.
want to help out with some of the what we refer to as orphans, as far as people that their companies have gone out of business or they need work done. I know that Baker Electric down in San Diego has a program like that, but you'd probably be a better guy to have go out.
I have a lot of customers that ran, the company goes out of business. They can't get a hold of anybody anymore. They're just stuck in underwater. So yeah, I can do that as well.
Okay. And did you mention already, like maybe your service area, like how far south you'd go, or I mean, what?
I go all the way to San Diego,
Okay.
Thousand Oaks, Camarillo. Right now I'm in Camarillo, High Desert, Palm Springs, pretty much all Southern California. It's
Okay. Great.
probably as
great to know.
far as Bakersfield, probably
Thank you
in
so
that
much.
area. No problem.
All right, Brian. Well, hey, thanks for jumping on. We're going to share your contact info here. Appreciate the help, like always, with some of these customer service related needs, brother. So good to see you, man.
No problem, man. Thank you.
All right, Brian. And then
Bye-bye.
real quick, guys, and I'll hand it back to Eoin. But again, Brian is someone that I met through an installation, got talking, brought him drinks, saw him at the next installation, got his contact info. And if you need to do like a generator or a diagnostic old system, orphan system, Brian is a very busy guy. So you will probably have to text him twice. But here's his contact info. And I encourage all of you to go to your installations and maybe make a friend, make a contact like that. I gave him a Starbucks gift card the third time I saw him, just for fun. And then I just wanted to point out too, there's something called SSTsolar.com, Sun System Technologies. They do O&M work. So they're a third-party residential operations maintenance solar service. We actually Powur hired one of the directors of Sun Systems to lead our O&M department. But if you're looking for another third-party repair provider for a system that's probably not Powur system, SSTsolar.com would be another resource that you could go after to recommend. All right. Oh, and I think there might have been a question or two in the chat. Any other questions?
I saw one question about, I think it was Veronica. Yeah, it was asking about, if energy isn't produced during the day, does it go to waste? I've heard from a couple people that some of this energy was sold to other states, but that PG&E does try to salvage that energy. And this is one of their complaints, because I know we all hate NEM3, we hate the concept, but it is a reality that, changes are going to need to be made, because now we're getting to the point where there is a surplus of energy being thrown into the grid that is not being used. And that's why on my slide at the end there is that we do need to invest in infrastructure and not just rely on homeowners to get batteries. We do need these plants to store this energy. And until recently, we didn't think that was possible, but we are finding that as these batteries get to scale, that this is going to be a reality, which is going to be very exciting. I know that Elon, for that particular facility image, that was in Texas. So he is working on an infrastructure out there. So very exciting stuff.
Yeah, basically it doesn't get wasted, Veronica. Lily can help explain more net metering. I think we have some trainings on it, but depending on the state and the utility, there's buyback credits at different rates. More often than not, it does not get wasted. We actually need those credits for solar to make sense here in California. Owen, or how familiar are you with GMAs? Should I try to explain what a GMA or line side tap is?
Well, like I said, I can go over it, but I strongly recommend that video by Paul Leon. Is going to blow your mind. But pretty much a GMA. No, you can go into that with.
Yeah, and honestly, Veronica, I wouldn't even worry about this. Like in my 7 years, a year or two ago, I think I learned about this. GMA is like called a generation meter adapter. It's maybe similar to a line side tap. Maybe some other people here know it better, but it's kind of usually a way to avoid a main panel upgrade, to tap in to the grid before the electrical panel versus after. And so it's costly. It still can be $600, $700, $800. It'll delay the process. There's additional paperwork and fees if the utility even allows it. But a GMA or like a line side tap, it's just another way to get the solar system to work with the current electrical equipment on the site, and usually avoiding a main panel upgrade that's either costly or may not even be possible. It's kind of like a D-rate is $600-700. They derate the main breaker to allow for more energy to flow back into the grid. And there's a cost for that too. And maybe we can share that YouTube link. Paul Leon mentions this stuff more, but honestly, guys, like if the electrical panel's old, if it's not a 200 amp, put the NPU on the job. If it's not if it is 200 amp, make sure you have a few hundred extra dollars in there. It might need a D-rate. Just buffer your margin, buffer the commission, and you should be fine.
On that note, I always never make an MPU or these upgrades seem like a negative thing. I always make it this exciting thing of, look, we are going to be adding this main panel upgrade. We're upgrading the unit at your house to make it safer and up to code. So that's generally the angle to play. Don't make it like a chore or a sad thing that you have to do. Always make it a positive. And it really is a positive. In Sonoma County here, I've had 60 amp main panels, MPUs, main breaker panels that need to be upgraded. And those breakers are about $80 to $90 a pop because that company is out of business because they got sued for fires. So always play it in a positive tone would be my advice on main panels. It's definitely, they look sexy too. It's a good touch.
So just to resume then, MPU will be like the replacement of the main panel, and the GMA is when you don't want to replace the main panel?
I think so. And I don't think California allows. That's why I hadn't seen one before, a GMA.
Depending on the utility, like I think Edison allows it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So the short answer, Veronica, is yes, but kind of, and it depends. If it's not 200 amp, like I said, and if it's a decent sized solar system, just put on the 200 amp and see what the survey results come back at. But yeah, it is a way to generally avoid an NPU. And if you can, check out Paul Eoin's training right there. And Eoin said something fantastic, like whatever it is, guys, like, hey, congratulations, good news, your home qualifies. Good news, we're gonna be investing $2,000 into your electrical upgrades. That's a $2,000 investment into your home. And it's only $10 more a month, like congrats. It's good news, you're getting an upgrade in your home. Maybe one day you wanna add an EV or a new AC or a jacuzzi, like this upgrade is gonna help you do that.
Exactly. You're set for the future, right? You play the card of we are going to be going more in an electrical direction. Now you have this main panel upgrade is you're going to have the ability to add these things. Be careful though, because during sales I've said, oh, we're going to do MPU, and then it turns out that the gas line, which I'm sure maybe some of you or some of you don't know the code, that if the gas line is, our gas meter is 3 feet near your MPU, you're going to run into bigger issues of doing that MPU. So just food for thought. You make sure that I think watch that video by Paul and then understand MPU before you promise an MPU, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you didn't add it and something's needed, you can say good news. We just have to do a slight change order. And I always, guys, like, imagine it needs an MPU and you didn't sell it and the margins are super tight. Hey, here's your layout. Congrats, you qualify. Also, we're going to need to be upgrading your main panel. That's a $3,000 investment in your home. I'm going to go ahead and eat $1,000 of that. So it's only going to add $2,000 to your project cost, cash, or instead of adding $15 to your monthly, it's only going to add $9 to your monthly, right? It's all how you present it. If you say it's more and you say you're going to help them eat the cost, that's how I present everything. So it's always good news. It's always this roof would have costed 12 grand, but we're getting it down to 8 grand for you. Like we're helping out, you know, and we know the roof is 8 grand, but we're always helping out. Like when Veronica does your artificial turf in all of Southern California, it normally would be $24.95, but she'll do it for $19.95. Right, Veronica? Artificial turf, AstroTurf. Go to Veronica Morales.
Nice.
Yvette Rodriguez said, I thought removal and reinstall for replacement is covered by Solar Insure. Yvette, that is very inaccurate. Sorry to say, that is a huge cost, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, like we heard Brian say. No real company I've ever seen can commit to doing that work. So it is around $200 to $300 per panel for a removal and a reinstallation. It's a ton of work. It's doing the whole install all over again. When everyone goes EV, that surplus will be sucked up. Yeah.
EV, and also I don't know if anyone has experienced these dual heat pumps, which pretty much cuts down people's gas use, and then they literally, to do AC and to do heat for your home, it's pretty much using electricity and way less gas. So I think that's the future. That's gonna be really cool. People's PG&E bills will be like, or utility bill will be like $20 because now they're not using gas, which like gas for cooking. Believe me, I don't want to get rid of gas cookers. I think that's crazy. Anyway.
Any other questions? Anyone want to jump off mute? Ask a last question here before we wrap it up. I think we're pretty good, Eoin.
Hey, thank you guys. If you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat.
Yep, and I'll share the YouTube video with your contact info again. So Eoin Carey, everyone in Northern California, a mentor here. We really appreciate you, Eoin, taking the charge on this training today. A lot of good trainings and updates coming up. Tomorrow is December, last month of the year. So a lot of fun events and trainings coming up. Can't wait to see you all, and let's finish up the year strong. Thank you, Eoin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This was amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ramsey.
Hey, thank you.
See everyone later. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.